Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today on the table in front of us, we have got something new from the folks at Artisan. This is the Artisan Knives Arion, and it is a freaking fantastic pocket knife. Now, this one is in red coral micarta, which is just gorgeous. You guys know me, I prefer my knives to be gray, black, or silver, but I'm not going to lie to you, that is just pretty. It's an S35 VN blade. It is titanium on the lock side. Everything about this knife is done really, really well. Now, this is one of the prototypes, which tells me that the finished and final product are going to be stellar. I have a real thing for these sort of thin, accurately made artisan knives. And by way of example, one of my all-time favorite knives is the Centauri. And these knives have a very, very similar, very different knives, but very, very similar carry profile in the pocket. Right? They are almost identically wide, right? And they're lean, they carry beautifully. This is a front flipper, which is not for everyone. I get that, which means now there's standard flipper. Now, the only deployment method is the deployment hole here in the blade. It runs along the flat. You can pinch and roll this thing out super easily. You can, maybe you can't. From the side you can. But not on camera, you jackass. Anyway, but you can Spidey flick this thing all day long. Sitting away from the camera over there on the couch, I was able to thumb snap it out. But apparently while I'm trying to show you how that works, it's not gonna, which happens from time to time. There's very, let's see, what else can we talk about? Focus, Peter, focus. The handle itself here is actually milled. It's called micro milling. And while I don't think my camera is going to show it, you can hear it, which gives it just enough texture to have just a little bit of grip. That mixed with the micarta means this thing locks into the hand really, really well. And because of the shape of this handle, it is exceptionally comfortable. One of my favorite parts about this knife is this little tiny pocket clip. Now, I know, right, that it looks like it might give you a hard time, maybe not be big enough, but they gave it enough space to fit in even my thickest of jeans. And because it is so small and because everything is chamfered, it just disappears. It just disappears into my hand, which means that there is no hot spot at all. There's a little bit of jimping right here at the back on the spine of the blade where you'd want it. And of course, the shape of this blade, this sort of leaf shape, really lends it if you wanted to come forward for draw cuts. Push cuts, of course, also an absolute joy with this knife. The S35 VN is done really, really well, and it comes down to a very nice edge. It's not a razor blade, but I'm thinking it's probably about 3.5 millimeters of S35 VN. Has a little bit of a flat and then a nice high flat grind. It does come down to a very nice edge. Now, this again is a prototype that has been all over the place, and the fact that it comes to me unsharpened by anyone else and yet still very sharp tells me what I need to know about Artisan's S35 VN. There is a lanyard tube, right, or lanyard, what do they call it? It's just a spot for lanyard, because apparently words and I are not going to get along today. Backspacer is titanium. It is running on bearings. I just looked inside this thing, and it is dirty. But it's not mine, so that's the way it's going to be. But even with that, the action is just superb. Very well done. Let's do some size comparisons. Well, let's do it again since we had it out a second ago. Here it is against the Artisan Centauri. As you can see, if we go pivot to pivot, and they have the same pivot, the new Arion here is a little bit longer. Not much, but maybe 1/8 of an inch. Other than that, they're very similar in dimension. Here it is against the Benchmade, the full-size Presidio, and it's pretty close. You get almost identical amount of blade. You just get a little more handle on the full-size Presidio. Let's move that up so you can see it. Right. What else should we compare it against that's fun? What's on the table? Here it is against the Formax, just for giggles. Sorry. Oh, man. I'm just having one of those weird days, and you guys get to deal with it. This knife deserves a lot more attention than it's getting. I'm not really sure what the deal is exactly, but I don't want this one to fly under the radar because it is a superb pocket knife. So if you're interested in this particular blade shape and you like the look of this knife, don't let this one slip you by. You will be disappointed if you do. If you wanted one of these and haven't been able to get one for some reason, or you just weren't in love with the front flipper, get one of these. For sure. Anyway, let's go ahead and weigh it. I don't think it's going to be very heavy. You know what? We will weigh it, but first we're going to get the measurements out of the way because apparently I've forgotten how to do knife reviews. 1, 2, 3.5 inches, right? On just a little over 3.5 inches of S30 of cutting, on just a little over 3.5 inches of S35 VN. The grip area from just behind the swell. 1, 2, 3, 4.25 inches. So tons of room, right? If it sticks out the back of my hand, and it does, you know it's a big knife. The knife overall, from end to end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, little over 8.25, right? It's just a nicely sized knife. The close profile on this thing is gorgeous, right? 1.5 inches, a little under 1.5 inches, right? Really nicely done. And it sits in the pocket super well because it is so lean. Let's weigh it. If we're, you know, if our scale doesn't come apart in our hands. Stand by. There we go. Yeah. I'm having a day. I've decided to take you along with me. All right. 3.7 ounces. You know, for a 3.5 inch blade, all titanium, the micarta, it's really not that heavy. And we're under 4 ounces, which is just a great carry for most people. And considering it's a big knife, that is nicely done. I did want to point out that on the scale, the micarta scale here, there is no liner. So it's just micarta on that side, which is part of why it's so light. But I get no flex at all. It's nicely done. Stiff, right? No flex or wiggle in the knife or the blade. Let's go ahead and use the calipers. The blade itself at its thickest is 127 thousandths, or what did I say it was going to be? 3.5? Yeah, so 3.24 millimeters. That's pretty close. The handle is 10 millimeters, which it's going to be thin. Yeah. 0.4 of an inch, right? 0.4. It's lean, and yet because of how nice and wide it is through here, it's very comfortable. We're going to go ahead and wrap that up there. This is the Artisan Arion. It is absolutely worth your time, energy, and effort. Don't let this one get away from you. I know that when they drop for real, which is going to be in a month or so, I'm going to get one just because I happen to love artisan knives that have this sort of character. I hope that you will chase one down too. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I would love to have you here on a regular basis. I guess until next time, we'll see you.